Hey, everybody.
Hello,
It's Carter and
this is Carter
I
in Maine.
am who? Who am I?
teZa.
Oh, teZa. Oh, yeah. That's always a question I ask. Who am I? Who am I?
Yes, that's a question for the ages for every one of us.
Yes, we're still in Maine, and we're in this beautiful old historical museum of a house that Carter's family is so blessed to have, and we are staying here for one more week, enjoying the vibe of tranquility and isolation because we're away from where we usually are. Nobody knows that we're here. And also, what else are we enjoying, Carter? We're enjoying working in the woods. You're out there doing a clearing with a big old chainsaw, a quiet electric chainsaw. It's so bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what else? We're thinking about spirit. We're thinking about how to be close to our core, our truth. And this morning we were talking about how do we forgive when we have been hurt, when we feel wronged, or we see wrong, or we feel compassion for other people who have been wronged. How do we accept that?
So how do you accept it?
Well, I keep trying over and over and over and over in my life to realize that everything comes from the divine source. Everything. Even the bad stuff. For whatever reason, the bad stuff happens. I try to see it as maybe a stepping stone or an instigation or a catalyst or a purpose for bringing consciousness closer to a pure, to a higher place because we get challenged.
Well, that thing we were reading this morning said that all of those things that happen to us are as a not as a test, but as a teaching, and that we're supposed to use all of those things as teaching, and we're called upon to forgive everything and everybody, and that's in the Lord's Prayer. Everybody knows that, but it's not so easy to do. It's one thing to say it. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. I mean, it's not, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, we keep trying and trying. So how do you do it, Carter? Because
well, sometimes I do better than others.
You get challenged a lot, more than I think I do. I mean, I've worked at this. I'm not saying that I'm better than you, but I'm just saying that I notice that you have a tendency to get more angry than I these days. I've tried to let go of the anger because the anger brought me to addiction. And, it's not a good thing. It's self-destructive and it's annihilating of the spirit and the body. And so anger is something that I have worked hard at because anger is, wait a minute, let me just finish. Anger is a mask that fear wears. I know that. So when I let go of my anger or judgment, I know that I'm making a decision to go to the light, to go to the love of the light, of the divine. That's how I do it. And so how do you deal with your anger and your judgment and your hurt when other people or other things have hurt your soul, your heart?
So the first thing is to try to know what's right and what's not right. So that, to me, it's always trying to figure out what is honest and true and correct and what is just like a misunderstanding on my part of what's the right thing. So it's always about trying to stand up for what's right. But then once you know something is right and that I have been wronged or somebody has acted wrongly in a situation, so then what do you do about it, and how do you forgive somebody for like stealing? Let's suppose somebody was to steal something as simple as that. Somebody was to steal something.
Of ours.
Well, suppose suppose somebody was to come and steal something from us, and we knew that they stole it, and they did it on purpose, and they did it just from being not, for
They
being.
thought they could get away with it.
Yeah, they thought they could get away with it, and they knew it was wrong, and they did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you forgive that? That would be an example.
Well, you asking me, or are you just setting that up as an example?
Oh, yeah, I'm asking you.
How would you? Well, okay, if you're asking me, I would, if I clearly knew, and these things have happened to me, I would avoid that person like the plague, first of all. I would say, oh, well, time to move on from that person, because how could you ever trust that person ever again?
So you would make a judgment, but in your case, it would be a discernment to not hang around with this person. You wouldn't be judging them.
It's a discernment, right?
So how do you forgive them, though?
In yoga, we call it viveka. It's an actual spiritual practice. It's not judgment, but it's a discernment. I would say that person is no longer trustworthy, so I would not confront them. I would just avoid them, and that's how I would accept the fact that they hurt me, and I would accept. To me, forgiveness is all about acceptance. I learned that actually by doing marital counseling, Carter. about stuff that you and I have gone through.
I would do different. My first instinct would be to confront and get it out front so that they know that you know that they did it, and then
I might
give
do
them a
too.
chance to apologize and give it back, or
see
what they would do.
Yeah, but would you ever trust that person again? Come on.
Maybe not. That's not the issue. That we're trying to figure out how do you forgive someone, because we're called upon to do that, and it's not so easy to do. And if you drag around lack of forgiveness, and if I drag around lack of forgiveness in my life, the person that really hurts is me.
Yeah.
Because I'm supposed to do that, and I have to learn how to do that, and it's not so easy.
But what if that person is incapable of recognizing that they did something wrong, either through denial or they have some mental aberration?
A lot easier to forgive. A lot easier to forgive than somebody who's just doing it because they want to. It's one thing if they're mentally unwell and they've got some inability to do it. But suppose but someone else who's just a bastard or just wants to be nasty.
But isn't that a mental unwellness? Isn't it basically always coming down to somehow, you could call it mental or spiritual, but there's an unwellness there.
There would be a moral unwellness.
Or a spiritual or a mental, or, actually sometimes schizophrenia or dual personality things. These are like physiological.
Well, stealing would be a good way to talk about it, because everybody knows stealing is wrong.
But I can think of one friend who stole our trust. She didn't steal an object. She stole the love, because she just hurt me by ignoring me after many, many decades of a beautiful, wonderful, intimate friendship. And that was a stealing of love and trust. So there was not just an object, there was an emotion.
Well, that's hard. So how do you forgive that? And it's just like, I'm in a situation with a friend of mine who has treated another friend really badly, and he's just been wrong about this. There's just I've come to grips with the fact that his behavior has just been ugly and selfish and wrong. And so the question is,
he's incapable of admitting that, correct?
Yeah.
He's incapable of it. So don't you think that that's a mental or spiritual aberration?
I think it's a spiritual aberration on his part, for sure. But the question is, how do I can I discern to not be in this person's company anymore because I don't like that? I mean, I can't abide by that kind of behavior. Can I do that and still be forgiving in my soul, because I'm can I forgive him for this and let him go along his way, which I'm called upon to do? And I think that I have, but I question it sometimes.
Okay, first
because
of
I'm
all,
still pissed off about it, and that's not good.
Let's look at the word forgiving. A lot of people think that means condoning. I look at it as accepting. I do not condone bad behavior. I do not condone theft or oppression or abuse, but I can accept that those things have happened to me, intimately have happened to me, and I have chosen to accept the fact that, it happened. That doesn't mean condoning, and so therefore it doesn't eat my lunch. I'm not ruminating about how awful it was that happened to me, or happened to the world, or happened to another friend.
Well, that's a big part of it, because part of not forgiving someone is that you ruminate over it. So, and that definitely hurts you more than anybody else. So that's one of the reasons to forgive people is that you get away from it, eating away at your own guts, which is it only hurts you.
It causes disease. I mean, people die from not forgiving because they just it's eating at them. It eats away at them, and they get cancer. Yeah. I've seen that happen in my own family.
So I think maybe the answer, I don't know. There's praying about it and asking God to take it away is one technique, one good way. That helps if you pray about it always and ask it to go. It'll dissipate.
I used to do ceremony about forgiveness because it was so much a part of my rawness, and just I couldn't let go of it. When I first came into recovery 40 years ago, I was consumed with blame and shame and anger about what had happened to me from others. And so I knew that I had to eliminate that from my soul, or else it would continue. I would continue as an addict in some form. So I really am attracted to ritual, and of course prayer is part of that. But I actually did things like take a candle and write on it all the grievances I had, names, situations, faces, and have a candle, put it on a rock. This is a very famous forgiveness ritual. I think it comes from Shakti Gawain or something. And, I would take time every day to look at this candle that was on a rock. It worked.
You're so funny.
Ritual works for some people. And you look at it every day for a certain amount of minutes, just, putting your love into that situation, putting love, forgiveness, acceptance, love, and it's all written on the candle. You don't have to go over it. Love, heal, let me get out of this. And then when the candle comes down to just a little tad of wax on the rock, you take that rock and you throw it into a body of water, either a lake or river. And I did this.
It's good.
To help me rid myself. I mean, some people go to a shrink or they go to a lifetime of psychotherapy. I just decided to do some ritual.
Yeah, but what you're saying is that you take action. That forgiveness is an action. It's not just something that you think about and say, "Oh, I forgive," and deep down in your heart, you're just bearing it, and you really don't forgive, but you're saying that you do, but you really don't. So what you're saying
isn't that called lip service?
Well, it's humanity. It's what it's what we all do.
We're all different because some of us really the hurt goes deep.
Yeah.
And some of us is just, oh well, somebody hurt me. It's no big deal. But for me,
but it is a big
it was
deal
eating
to
my
forgive
lunch,
them.
Carter. It was eating my lunch.
Well, it's eating everybody's lunch. It's eating my lunch. It's eating everybody on Earth's lunch.
Well, how
and
about...
it's like what we were reading today. Another thing in that reading today was that all of these things that are happening in the world, all the things that come into the world that are problems for you and for me, like, for instance, the arguing back and forth in the political sphere. We always come back to that because it's a big thing.
Well, we want to help heal that because that's part of our lives today in modern
what this is saying
the modern
is,
world.
What this says is that God has put this there, and everybody that's pissed off and having all these anger about their self-righteous and the way they think that the governing should be, because I think most people will admit that will agree that 90% of us all want the same thing. It's just that we have a disagreement about how to govern to get that way. There's different ways of governance to arrive at the same thing, but the anxiety about it is been put there by God to force each one of us, and that's almost everybody, to overcome it, to overcome the anger and of it, and the self-righteousness, and the demanding of their way, and the demanding of how they think is the right way to be about it. And it's very interesting because there is a big undercurrent going on now. We were talking about it yesterday with some other good friends of ours who are pretty much on the opposite side of the political spectrum. We had a fantastic time, as we always do, because we really love each other, and it's not an issue for us. It's just a difference of opinion. But
political.
Yeah, but
like everything else, spiritually and materially, and every other aspect, we're right there. But yes, you and them, but I'm not political. Don't forget, teZa is not a political person, so I'm the observer.
But wait a second. Don't let me lose this thought now.
Okay,
I forgot.
you were talking about we were with our friends, and there was a political divide in.
Oh, we were talking. I was talking about the fact that there's a lot of that. I think, and I'm hoping that a tipping point has been reached, because lots of people that I know, lots of them, and it's in the paper and it's on TV, are sick of the arguing. They're tired of it. They're vocal about it. They're trying all kind of different ways to pray it away and to be friends with other people and have dinner with other people that you disagree with, and try to reach across and try to get to be friends, because there's a huge amount of people that recognize that this is just this is not healthy. It's not helping any of us. And I think it's a lot less than it was 8 years ago, even though it's still really loud. And I think that the biggest thing that's pushing this is the media, because controversy sells stuff, and if they don't have this controversy, they're out of business. So it's in their interest to promote the anger and the divide, and that's where it's coming from. And this new internet and the new way of communicating that we didn't have 20 years ago, so it's added to all this. But let me just say this last thing, and that is that I believe, and I'm hopeful, that there's more. We've gone past the point where we've reached the worst part, and it's going to get better now, because we all want it to be better. All those that are morally upstanding people don't like the yelling and the hating and we just want to somehow make this better. And I see it everywhere I go. People are trying to bury the hatchet and not be mad about these things. So that's a great thing that's happening, and the God has put these things in our way so that we, each one of us, can overcome this, and this part of this whole forgiveness type of thing.
I'm thinking about that phrase, bury the hatchet. And I once had a family member who had a conflict with me, and she called me up and she said, "Well, my therapist said I had to bury the hatchet with you," and when she did, it felt like she was burying the hatchet right in my head, because she had no love, no respect, no understanding of what was going on, the energy between us, and she buried that hatchet right in my heart. And it's a funny phrase, though, because it comes from probably the Native American conflict, where they symbolized having peace between tribes. Even the tribes used to kill each other. I was reading about Sacagawea yesterday. Sacagawea was killed by an attack of Indians upon her people. She was killed by a bullet, and she didn't die immediately. It took a long time, but people think that the Native Americans are all peace and love. No. They had their conflicts, and before these modern times, they used to have fights with each other and kill each other, just as the Africans did among their different tribes. In
It's
Africa.
human nature.
It's human nature to have fights. And if you raise kids,
And
like I was privileged to help Carter raise his kids, I didn't realize it until I saw these two little kids. They were like 4 and 7 when we married. And they're fighting tooth and nail. And like they would have killed each other, like Lord of the Flies, that book, if they hadn't been disciplined. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's human nature to push and shove and hurt and
Well, it's all about the self, and we see immediately kids as soon as they're born, they're struggling for their own space and their own self, and and we have to learn to not have our ego. And each one of us has this issue in life. We all have to go through and reconcile our ego with other, service to other people and revenge, Revenge. Clint Eastwood made a career on making movies about revenge, and it sounds good to revenge. We want a revenge. It's natural to want a revenge, but one of the big things in God is vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and that's on me. And it's not for you to go taking revenge. I'm taking let me do the revenge. That's a hard thing. It's another hard thing to do.
I would like to share something. Okay, so. Like about 6 months ago, I decided to reach out to a friend of mine I hadn't heard from for a long time. And we both have a lot of respect and love for each other. But she hadn't reached out to me, so I just decided to take the initiative. And I said I wanted to come visit you. And so she did, and she's a very political person, and she's a very left liberal Democrat. And she knows that I am not a political person. And she also knows that I'm married to you, my beloved, who is a very enlightened Republican. So I come to visit her, and she was very upset about this and that. And, they'd just been having protests and people out there on the streets because it's the new months of the Trump administration. And she's all fired up, and I allowed her just to be in her space because it's also her house. And she was ranting and raving, and I'm just sitting there listening. And when she finished, she noticed I wasn't saying anything. And she said, "So you're not enraged? You're not outraged?" And I said, "No, I'm not." And she just looked at me in awe and said, "Well, how can you not be?" And she said, Tell me how you can not be outraged." And so I said, "Do you really want to know?" She said, "Yes." I mean, because I got...
Well, she's also an atheist, right? Self-proclaimed
She's
atheist.
a self-proclaimed atheist. So she gave me permission, and I told her what I'm going to tell you now, which is my truth, that I feel that this is a necessary step in our human evolution. This anger, this angst, this anxiety, this torment of some people who are in the political arena, who believe that politics is going to save the world and save mankind. And,
pretty low level.
Let me finish.
Stuff.
Well, that's their belief system. And so my friend allowed me to speak without interrupting me, so give me that courtesy.
Right.
She did not make any comments. She was truly curious to know. And I said, I believe that, I can think of it as myself as an addict. I had to come to my knees with addiction. I had to go to that dark, dark place and do those bad, bad things and really abuse myself more than anybody ever had abused me, all with the feeling of, I have to do this. It's just what I have to do. I have no choice. Until finally I almost died, and I crawled into places where people like me crawl, which are called recovery rooms of the 12-step fellowship. And I said, "Please help me because I'm going to die." I knew I was going to die. And so they taught me, the very first thing is, I have a choice. I said, "What? I have no choice. I have to do this." No, they said, no, you do have a choice. And even for just this minute, you have a choice not to pick up this deadly toxic shit that you're putting into your system, whether it's pills, powder, or smoke, or whatever, or thoughts, or people, or attitudes. I have a choice. And when I was shown that by these people who had smiles on their faces, who said that they were just like me once, but they made that choice, I said, yes, I want to live. I don't want to die. So I learned that I had a choice, and just little by little, step by step, I chose not to go into that dark, dark place. So I told my friend as she was sitting there that I see that this is the reckoning that everybody is confronted with, who do honestly believe that politics is going to give them happiness and going to show them how to have a connection with that thing about life that makes you feel okay about life. Call it happiness or contentment or success or just peace, inner peace. And, not just yourself right here in this room, wherever you are, or the person over on the other side of the world that is getting bombed and killed by oppressors and dictators. You can spread the peace. I realize that is what's happening to our society. People are being forced to be on their knees to realize that politics is not the answer. And I think it's a glorious thing that finally we've come to the edge of the cliff where we either jump off and kill ourselves, those who believe that politics is the way, or we learn to fly and let go of our beliefs, our old beliefs, and we just catch an updraft and we go higher than our original thinking. And know that there is something else in this world that's happening, which is not about politics. It's not about materialism. It's about the spirit. It's about being aligned with the source of the light of, call it God, or call it the one, call it nature, whatever one feels. And so as I was saying this to my friend, she became quiet, and her body uncurled from that tense position she was in. And she had a big sigh, and she said, well, that's incredible. I'm not there. And I said, well, I feel sorry for you if you're not there.
How'd that go over?
No, well, we walked each other to my car, and basically, I have not seen her since. and I pray for her. Well, I do.
Well, we all have
to
come to grips with
these
things, We all have to come to grips with these.
She probably feels sorry for me.
It's not just her or
no,
you or
I'm
me.
Sure
it's
she
all
feels
of us.
just as sorry for me as I feel sorry for her.
Yeah, we're all being tested with this because we do feel strongly about these things, and we do have our opinions about how things should be, but we also have to love unequivocally everybody and accept everyone, and we're called upon.
Was I wrong to talk to my friend like
it's
that?
good. It's great.
I mean, was I wrong to be honest?
No, you give
after
an
she
honest
asked
answer,
me?
and that's good. Maybe she's probably still thinking about it, and it's good. How else are we going to learn except through our friends and people that we love? And she loves you, and that she trusts, and she knows you're honest and fair and smart. You're just as smart as she is. You're not stupid, and so this is your experience. So this is how all of us learn, is through others. That's why there are books, and we read books. And
well, we
all
should
these
reach
things.
out to one another. Those of us who have, the ability to accept that, yes, bad things do happen, but they happen for a purpose. If they just happen for the hell of it, that's hell.
But it's very interesting.
If we create our own reality,
It's very
if
interesting.
we say that bad things happen for a learning lesson, a stepping stone, then we get to create our own heaven out of hell.
Yeah, and if I can come to grips with the idea that all this angst is something that needs to be, and that the higher forces, that God is allowing this to go down, so that we can, all of us, learn as a group to come to grips with it, not only as a group but individually, each and every one of us, to come to grips with this angst and this anger, and because we all know intrinsically in our guts that it's hurting us. Everybody knows it. And so
It's stopping our creative forces.
Yeah, and
for
we're
one
all
thing.
having to face it and figure out what we're going to do about it and overcome it individually. Because this is really what life is, in my view, is that it's just a learning work in progress for each and every one of us to be faced with choices every day, a finite number of choices, 500 or 600 different choices of various things every day is about all we can deal with. And every day we have these choices. And if we can make one or two good ones that we haven't made before, we get better, we grow.
Okay, so our discussion before we had the podcast was about forgiveness.
Yes.
And you're working on a big thing, one specific thing, not just the divisiveness, this conflict that you had with the person who you identified as a friend, but you probably don't feel so friendly toward that person anymore.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if I haven't forgiven him, because I think that I have, and in my mind that I have, but I know enough about my mind to know that my mind is got a lot of big holes in it and stuff, and I mean I understand things.
But it's
today,
a very expanded mind
it's
too,
different.
Carter.
But
it's a very, very expanded.
That's kind.
You're
Thank you.
open-minded.
But
You're
the question is, have I forgiven, or am I being discerning? Because I don't want to be around this situation because I can't abide by that behavior.
You have to discern in order to forgive. You have to go through that step of discernment, which is discrimination, and of a high sort, to say that, is this taking me closer to my center of peace, or is this taking me further away? So nobody wants to make choices where it's taking us further away, more angst, more worry. No, we want to go closer to that place of peace. So that takes discrimination and discernment. And so once you have realized that this person is bringing up so much angst and anger and everything for you, and there's no way of resolving it. You can't talk it out with him.
I don't think I have anger, but I might.
After having you've already gone through that. I listened to you on the phone with this person. So the anger and the angst is implacable for him, because he cannot say that his actions were not of the highest for the friend.
He cheated a mutual friend of ours.
He cheated somebody. He stole money from them, but not from their house, but from negotiating.
And he justified it within himself when he was mistaken. So the question is, have I forgiven him? But I'm not going to be in his company. And is that legitimate?
That's acceptance. Isn't that acceptance?
Well, I'm still thinking about it. So it must be something else going on there that I can't get away from.
But isn't acceptance where you say, I've already thought it out, and I know there's no talking to him, and I accept the fact that he has made this decision, and I don't want to be around it. And isn't that acceptance? Isn't that forgiveness?
I think it is.
Isn't that forgiveness?
Well, I'm hoping it is.
With not condoning his behavior.
I'm hoping
it's not saying, oh, yeah, right, I understand you did the right thing. Now, you can't say that.
No.
But you can accept the fact that in his mind, he has done to the best of his ability what he thinks is right for him.
He hasn't done to the best of his ability.
No, for where he's at, for his abilities.
He's selfishly involved in
that's
justifying
see now
himself,
that's
it's not
judgment.
right.
No. That's you judging him.
Deficient.
That's you judging him.
So I haven't forgiven.
No, you're still judging him because you haven't realized that he's.
But it's clear.
He's got
obvious.
a mental. He's either got a mental block, or
it's a mental issue.
He is incapable of expanding his thinking any more than what you just said.
He thinks it's okay to cheat her.
He thinks it's okay to cheat her, and
it isn't.
And you can't condone that, of course not. But you can accept the fact that he's mentally incapable, can't you? If you can accept the fact that he's mentally incapable because you've already talked it out with him, and that is where he's stuck, then you are in the process of forgiving him.
Okay, I'm working on it.
Maybe you need to do that candle on the stone, Carter. Maybe we need to whip out the candle on the stone.
Get the candle on this.
There's another visualization that I did.
Oh, my
Okay,
God.
let me just end with
love
this one. Okay,
Right.
I just believe that
It's funny.
visualizations
it's good. It's okay.
help.
I know, well, you're good. You got a lot of good things. I'll
Instead
give
of
you
letting
credit.
this eat my lunch, I try to get it out of my consciousness.
You've done
because
good in
I
a
want to
lot of
move
that
on
stuff.
from an episode of life that's painful. So another one, it's called the pink balloon therapy or a procedure. It also comes from Shakti Gawain, who's Creative Visualizations was the name of her book, and she helped me a lot. And
Shakti Gawain.
that's her given. She was given that name. She's left the planet now. She got sick a couple years ago, but she was younger than me. But she wrote
That's
this
a hell of a name, Shakti
Shakti
Gawain.
Gawain. Yeah, I know, and it is her true
So what's
name.
the pink balloon?
The pink balloon. Okay, so you have to close your eyes. Close your eyes, Carter.
I'm not closing my eyes.
Oh,
I
come
can't do
on.
it.
Stop
All
being
right,
so
all right,
tough,
all right,
Mr.
all right.
Testosterone. Okay. Close your eyes. And you see this big air balloon. It's like a big air balloon. It's big enough. It's as big as a house. And it's pink because pink is a color of
It's a chick thing.
love. No, it's not a chick. God, just try something. Keep
right,
your eyes
all right,
closed.
all
You're
right.
cheating. Get your
All right,
eyes
I
closed.
got it closed.
Okay. So you know that this is an air balloon and you know it's going to lift off. You know that's coming, but there's a door. And an air balloon doesn't have a door. So you've created an imaginary situation. It's an air balloon.
Put stuff in the balloon.
We're walking to this open door and you're putting in there everything that disturbs you. And in your case, it's this person, it's the situation, it's the feelings. And when I first started doing, I even had to push a dog in there that I was letting go of, which was associated with the situation. I put the dog in there and the dog kept trying to run out and you keep pushing the dog back in. And, you know, everything that is associated with this disturbance that you have, you put in the balloon.
And then you close the door.
And wait a minute, you might have to push it in there.
Okay.
If they try to escape, you push it in there. And then you close the door. And then you start seeing, because it's your mind, it's lifting up, and you're looking at it.
That's good.
You're looking at it, and
Okay.
you're looking up, and you're seeing this pink balloon, and it's lifting up, and it's lifting up, and it's getting high above you, and you know everything is going back to where it came from, which is the divine source of everything. You lift it up, and you lift it, and it's going up into the stratosphere and the other spheres, and until finally you just can't see it anymore. It's disappeared.
Good.
And it's gone.
Okay, I can visualize that.
Okay,
Thank
now,
you. That's a good
you
one. I
may
like
have
the
to
pink
do
balloon.
it a couple thousand
Okay.
times, like
All
I
right.
did. I had to do it more than once because I really was obsessed about what was bugging
Okay.
me. And if you believe in the magic of our own mind's powers, you can get rid of these bad feelings and these bad thoughts by doing something like a ritual. You can.
Okay.
It's just another way of being actively praying, really. It's like being theatrical and dramatic. Okay?
Okay, baby.
Does that sound good?
That's good.
I like that. Okay, baby.
Let's go.
Okay, baby. I'm going to
Okay, you guys.
Okay, we love you.
Thank you.
If nobody's told you that today, let me say it. I love you. Carter always laughs, but I do. I love each and every one of you. Take care.
See you later, you guys.
Om
Next
Namah
time.
Shivaya.
All right. In a minute.